There are battles we see, and battles that remain hidden. But long ago, in a moment lost to history, a war erupted in the unseen realm. A battle not for a throne, not for a kingdom, but for the body of one man, Moses. And standing at the center of this conflict were two powerful beings, Michael, the warrior of heaven, and Satan, the prince of darkness. To understand why Moses' body was so important, we must first understand the man himself. Born a Hebrew slave, yet raised as an Egyptian prince, Moses had a destiny unlike any other. He was chosen by God to lead his people out of slavery, to stand before Pharaoh and demand, "Let my people go." Moses was more than a prophet, he was a leader, a lawgiver, a friend of God. But even the greatest of men are not without fault. And Moses made a grave mistake. The Israelites were thirsty, desperate for water. God told Moses to speak to the rock, and water would flow. But in anger and frustration, Moses struck the rock instead. It seemed like a small act, but it was an act of disobedience, and for that, God declared that Moses would never step foot in the promised land. And so, Moses climbed Mount Nebo, looked upon the land he had longed for, and took his final breath. But this is where the mystery begins, because Moses was never buried by human hands. The Bible tells us that God himself buried him. But why? And why did Satan come to claim his body? As the heavens mourned the loss of their faithful servant, another presence arrived. Satan, the deceiver, the accuser. But what did he want with Moses' body? Some believe he wanted to use it as a relic, to deceive the Israelites into worshipping Moses instead of God. Others say he wanted to accuse Moses, to remind heaven of his mistakes, his sins. After all, Satan has always been the accuser, twisting the truth to claim what does not belong to him. But Satan did not come unchallenged. From the heavens, a warrior descended, Michael, the Archangel, commander of God's armies. He had come to fulfill God's will, to defend what was sacred. The air crackled with power. The unseen war had begun.
Moses was a sinner, a murderer, a man of disobedience. He belongs to me.
Michael did not argue. He did not fight with weapons. Instead, he spoke one sentence, "The Lord rebuke you, Satan." With those words, the battle was over. Not by Michael's strength, but by God's authority alone. Satan had no claim over Moses. The light consumed the darkness, and the body of God's faithful servant was taken into his care. This battle was not just about Moses. It was a glimpse into the greater war happening around us. A war where Satan still accuses, still deceives, still tries to claim what is not his. But just like in that moment on Mount Nebo, he has no power over those who belong to God. Michael did not fight with his own strength, and neither should we. We overcome by standing in God's authority, by trusting in his word, by knowing that in the end, God always wins. So remember this, when the enemy comes to accuse, when darkness tries to take hold, do not fear. Speak the words of Michael, and let the power of heaven fight for you. The Lord rebuke you, Satan.